All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening to the podcast. Tell me your story. This is your host, Chris Baker. And today I got a special guest on today to tell his story. Is Mr. Tom Kramig. His story today. But anyway, so I just want to say thank you for coming on. It's truly a privilege. I am humbled just to even have you on. But like
Thanks
how
for
we,
the opportunity.
yeah, like how we always do though. Let's just jump into this and, first let's talk about like your early life, your childhood. Where did it all start for you?
I grew up, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. A diehard Cincinnati Reds fan, and it was the late 60s, early 70s. So that's really how I became such a huge baseball fan, is watching the Big Red Machine back in the 70s.
Yes. The golden age pretty much, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got to see a lot of World Series games, went to a couple All-Star games. So we were fortunate enough to have season tickets. I saw a lot of really great baseball and great baseball players, and it just sort of stuck with me from that point on.
So in this time period, would you say was baseball the major sport at the time, or was it football? Was football starting to take over yet?
Back in the early 70s, baseball was still pretty dominant, but football was coming hard. That was right about the time of the old AFL NFL merger. Um, and back in those days, we didn't play one sport year round. You played what was in season. You played baseball in the spring and summer, and football in the fall, and basketball in the winter.
See, that's what I loved about the childhood, man. It's just being able to get on the streets. And I think mainly we played football when I was growing up.
Hmm.
But every once in a while, we'd get out there and have a nice little baseball game. I don't see that too often nowadays.
No, you don't see kids playing on sandlots anymore. Everything is much more organized and structured now. You know, um, when we were kids, it was my mom yelling at me saying, "Get out of the house and go do something."
Yeah.
Now when kids leave the house, generally the parents have everything structured and organized for them.
Yeah. And back then, also you got to think too, like we weren't allowed to come back in until the street lights were on.
Mhm. Right, right. While the sun was up, get your butt out of the house.
See, my parents were always like, if you're gonna stay home, you're gonna be doing chores around the house, and then it's like
Right.
that's enough for me to
Mhm.
say, nope, I'm out, I'm out of here.
Right. Go find something to do, or I will find you something to do that you won't like.
Exactly. It's like I don't want to cut the grass. I'm about to go hang out with my friend.
Hmm.
But if you didn't, well, like the only time you were allowed to come home though was supper time. And then
Right.
after that, back to it.
Right.
So the kids that are watching right now, we
Mhm.
didn't have these phones that you got right now to be able to watch
Right.
what you're watching. So
There
enjoy
wasn't
what
nearly
you
as
have.
much trouble to get into back then.
Yes, and if you wanted to know something, there was a book called Life, or you had to
Hmm.
go to the library.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine life without the internet.
My props to you guys though for doing it, for just being able to research everything. Now I think about it, because computers really didn't start coming into effect until like I was in like grade school, high school. We had to take all classes on it, where there was no choice. We had to take the classes. I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure for like, were you guys introduced to it at all, or was it like not until afterwards?
I remember taking a computer class in high school, and it wasn't anything like the technology of today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because now you got typing classes, you got web design, you got everything you could think of nowadays.
Right.
That
Right.
was
But they
unheard
don't
of.
call it typing, Chris. They call it keyboarding.
Keyboarding now?
That's what they call it, is keyboarding. It's not typing anymore.
They keep changing it up on us, man.
Yeah, right.
So, actually, since we're there, talk about your education a little bit.
Um, Public high school. I went to college at a place called Florida Southern College, down in Lakeland, Florida. Um, just looking to go somewhere fun, get out of Ohio for a while and sit in Florida. I did a 4-year degree down there, and actually, my original degree and my original career kicked off in TV news. I was a double major in both communications and marketing. And I was fortunate enough in high school that I got an internship working at a TV station in Cincinnati, my senior year of high school, and just fell in love with it, had a ball. So that's how I got launched down that road.
And that's what I was thinking too, because you grew up around the Reds. So like, what got you into like more into baseball? Was it just always around you, or?
Oh yeah, my dad was a huge Reds fan, and a big baseball fan. So we played all the time. Played ever since I was a kid. But then once I went to school, I really got bit by the TV bug and really enjoyed that. And I did that for about 10 years, producing TV news.
Hmm. So how long were you in that before you started jumping back into baseball?
Well, I've had several different careers, Chris. You could say I can't hold a job. Um, I did TV news for about 10 years. And from that, I transitioned into running a video production company in Cincinnati. And I did that for about 12 or so years. One of my clients ended up being the Remax Real Estate Corporation based out of Denver, Colorado. I got connected with them through a friend of somebody I used to work with. And I did a lot of freelance video work for them, traveling all over the country, all over North America. And there was a lot of travel involved. So in 2006, they were building a brand new corporate headquarters in Denver that included a multi-million dollar TV production studio that they were looking to staff out and looking for someone to sort of oversee. And what's the Godfather line? They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So we picked up and left Cincinnati and went to Denver. And we were out there for about almost 10 years.
Now, how was that adjusting from, being from Ohio and going to Denver? I heard it's harder to breathe out there at first when you get there.
Yeah, you got to adjust for the altitude. That definitely hits you early on, but eventually you adjust. It's great for your golf game because the ball flies a lot farther. Definitely a few club difference. Um, Denver's a great town. I mean, we really enjoyed living there. Had a great time, but it's different than the Midwest. The comparison that I always make to whether I was living in Cincinnati or now that I'm living in Cleveland, when you meet somebody in a Midwest town, it generally starts with where are you from, as in what high school did you go to?
Okay.
Did you go to Avon? Did you go to Mayfield? Did you go to Ed's? You go to Ignatius? Because in Midwest towns, the bulk of the people you meet in the population is from there,
Yep.
is from that area. When we were in Denver, on our street, our next door neighbors were Chicago, Boston, California, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, New Jersey. Nobody was from Colorado where we lived out there. There are so many transplants out there that you don't get that strong sense of community in a lot of areas because nobody's got ties or connections out there.
Now, what would you say was like the challenges and the obstacles you had to face as you were going to Denver?
Moving my seventh grade daughter was not fun.
Yeah,
She hated it. The day we told her, she burst into tears and started calling all her friends to see if she could move in with them. So that was a bit of a challenge and a bit of an adjustment. Anytime you pick up and move a family of four and a dog, it's got its own challenges, but overall it went pretty well. After about a year or two, our girls were really adjusted, and there were parts of living in Colorado they really liked. I mean, there's a lot of sunshine out there. You don't get this Midwest gray all winter long.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, I miss that right now. But again, it's just sort of a different lifestyle out there. And after we had been out there about 9 years, quite honestly, I sort of wanted to get back to this part of the country.
So, kind of describe like those first couple of weeks of just being in Denver. What was it like?
I was pretty consumed with work and a new job, and again, we were building this brand new TV studio, so that was pretty consuming. It's getting your kids settled in school. It's figuring out where everything is. I had been traveling out there for about 10, 12 years prior to moving. So I had a pretty good lay of the land, but my family didn't.
Yeah, no idea.
You mentioned the altitude earlier. Um, Literally the first weekend we're there, my wife says, I'm going to go for a walk, and puts on her walking shoes and workout clothes. And in our, where we lived was at the bottom of this hill. I'm just going to walk up to the top of the hill and back. Well, she was gone like an hour and a half,
Oh.
and she came walking back in the door, gasping for breath. I can't breathe. There's no air out here. So that was a bit of an adjustment for all of us. So it's just, it's meeting new people. It's new routines, getting your kids acclimated to a new school, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I found too. Like throughout my travels, like wherever you go, it's just at first you get that like, okay, this is cool. I like this. But
Right.
for people
That
that,
adrenaline rush. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
It's exciting.
people that have never traveled and been out into the world, they're always wanting to do it. It's like, go ahead, try it. But eventually, what you're going to come across is you're going to have that adrenaline rush, yes. But later down the line, it's just going to be the same feeling. You're going to just, you're going to get comfortable, and eventually you're going to want to go somewhere else. That's how it works.
You're going to fall into your routines, or you're
Yeah.
going to find new routines. And that's really what it is.
And once that happens, man, whew. Now, did anybody like help mentor you at all during your journey out there?
I mean, I've had a lot of mentors in my life. My very first job out of college, I had a TV news producer I worked for named George Figueredo, who, taught me what it was like to really have a full-time job and a career. He was fabulous and very, very helpful. I had a news director in Cincinnati by the name of Don North. I've had a lot of mentors and a lot of people who have taught me a lot of things, but really, when I moved to Denver, we were developing a distance learning satellite television network. So we were training real estate brokers and agents all over North America and to some degree around the world on how to run their business. And so we went out into I guess you would call it the self-help, personal growth and development space. And I met so many people who taught me so much about, you never grow until you get out of your comfort zone. You were talking about the move and the transition and really getting out of your comfort zone and pushing yourself and testing yourself. That was really impactful. Those 9 years I spent out there and being exposed to those people and their perspectives was hugely influential on me.
Now, as you were starting this new TV station, this media station, what was it like just when you got like big names on the show? How did it feel to you at first? Were you kind of like starstruck at first, or were you just like,
Well, I mean, I wasn't really from that space, so I really wasn't wowed by him because ignorance is bliss. I didn't know who they were. I worked with a gentleman named Brian Buffini who was hugely impactful on me and the course of my career. But I had never met him before. I had never heard of him. So they were in a specific space of real estate, but the lessons they were teaching applied across business.
And how long were you out there, you said?
I was out there about 9 years. A little
So
over 9 years.
what was it like when you came back?
I mean, it was nice to get back to the Midwest in some ways, to be able to meet people. When I came to Cleveland, I knew nothing about Cleveland. And when you move back into a Midwest town with the dominant population being people who've been born and raised here, it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
They know everything and they teach you all these things about, here's a good neighborhood to live and here's a neighborhood you don't want to live in. All the local customs, the whole Cleveland East Side, West Side thing. I had never heard of that until I moved here. So that was very helpful.
So being from Cleveland now, what is your favorite restaurant out there?
In Cleveland?
Yep.
Boy, if I'm looking for a good steak on the West Side, I go to Cabin Club in Westlake. They're really awesome.
Yeah.
My wife and I like a little Mexican place called Don Ramon's. It's also in Westlake.
Yes.
We moved to Westlake. So that's really where we sort of got incorporated. We live in Avon Lake now, but Westlake was really sort of the first place we lived and where we connected with a lot of early places.
You know, it's kind of funny how you say that. Like a lot of people that work in Cleveland tell me that they do work in they live in Westlake. Is that like just a normal thing out there?
I mean, we were going to be working in Avon, and Westlake was close, and we
Yeah, that
found a
makes
place, and
sense.
it was pretty easy.
So how long was it before you started, running the Lake Erie Crushers?
So I was in Denver working for Remax, and enjoying it, and things were going well. The company at the time was privately held, and we went public. I want to say it was like 2014. We went from a privately held to a public company. Everything changed. And when it was privately held, they did things for the right reasons. And if you've ever been involved in a transition from a privately held to a publicly held company, the whole approach changes. And I was becoming frustrated with it and didn't like the direction it was going. So I started researching minor league baseball. It's one of the things you get online and you start digging into the internet, something we couldn't do 40 years ago. Wouldn't it be cool to own a baseball team? It'll
Yeah.
never happen. Well, wouldn't it be cool? And the more I dug into it and the more I researched it, it started to become more attainable and something I could really achieve. And so we attempted to buy a team up in Traverse City, Michigan, because we're familiar with that area a little bit. That deal didn't go through, but at the time I got through that process, I got to know the commissioner of the Frontier League, and he suggested I take a look at Lake Erie. I said, well, the team's not for sale. And he said, well, anything can be for sale for the right price.
Oh.
So we started a conversation with the former owner of the team, and it took about 8-10 months, but we got a deal done. And I've been here since late 15, early 16. February of 16 is when we closed the deal.
Does it still feel like it was your first year, or has the time just kind of flown by?
No, the time has not flown by. It's been a process, but I will tell you that, we did 16, 17, 18, 19, and things were very much trending in the right direction. And then the world stopped, in 2020 with the pandemic. And then when we came back in 21, and even to some degree last year in 22, that feels like we're starting from scratch again. I mean, in 2020, we literally laid off the entire staff because we didn't play baseball. There was no revenue coming in. We were shut down for a full year. And so that coming back process of rehiring staff, reestablishing yourself in the marketplace, building your marketing from scratch again when people had been locked away in their homes for literally about 2 years, was like starting over.
So during the shutdown time, during COVID, when everything shut down, how did you guys handle that situation?
As I said, I mean, there wasn't much to handle. I was forced to let go of the entire staff. We were shut down. We played no games. The whole league was shut down in 2020. So, if there's no revenue coming in, there's not a whole lot you can do. The city worked with us on the lease. They own the ballpark, and they extended the lease by 1 year and gave us a little break on the rent for that year. But you just sort of hang on and survive.
So what adjustments did you make during that time period?
Well, as I said, we didn't have any staff.
No, I'm sorry. Correction. As you started coming back, as things
started coming back out. Well, most of the adjustments we had to make some of them were forced on us. When we started up in 2021 after the pandemic, we were on restricted seating. We could only put so many people in the ballpark, which was kind of a nightmare for our box office guy, because a family would buy 4 tickets here, and then you immediately had to quarantine all the seats around them for so much space. Things like putting hand sanitizer everywhere and putting things in the concession line to space people out. All that stuff was an adjustment. And we were doing that sort of on the fly with, quite honestly, virtually an entirely new staff. who had never done this before. So 21 was a very, very challenging year. It was rough. It
Yeah,
was a tough,
it sounds like it
and
was stressful.
and we typically have 8 months of off season to plan for the season. Well, we didn't even find out we were playing baseball until January. So we only had about 3 months to prepare. So it was that was a stressful year.
So, so talk about that a little bit more. Just what did you have to do in that time period? You said you usually had 8 months to prepare, but now
Right.
you only have three. So how did you prepare for it?
You had to scale things back. We used to in prior to the pandemic, we had done a craft beer festival every year. We had done a celebrity softball game every year. We had done a lot of other events other than just Crushers baseball. We didn't have time to do any of that. It was strictly focused on, okay, we've got to host 48 baseball games. How are we going to do that? And all the other stuff. Our team shop was virtually empty half that season because we couldn't get merchandise because of all the supply chain issues going on. Most of the adjustments we made were forced upon us, as I would say, due to the pandemic. Supply chain was a huge problem. Can we get baseballs? That was a challenge. That sort of thing.
So like everything was, yeah, it just sounds like everything was a challenge. Baseballs, you had to get bats.
Our
New
players
plates.
all live with host families. Well, we had to make sure every player was vaccinated, or they couldn't stay with a host family.
Wow.
There were no options there.
So how did you keep everybody like just calm and relaxed during that time period?
I mean, you just sort of deal with things as they come up. I mean, coming from a background where I worked in TV news every day, where every day you had a live deadline, or you're going live with a show at 6 o'clock, ready or not. Um, you don't really get too worried about things. Okay, you're going to survive the day. Um, we used to have a line in TV news that it's not brain surgery. Nobody's going to die if you screw up a TV show. Well, it's a baseball game. Okay, and if we overcook the hot dogs or spill the popcorn or screw up somebody's seats, we'll get them a new seat. It's not the end of the world.
Do you guys have a lot of complaints or like the whole season? What was going on?
We had some, yeah. I mean, there were some bumpy moments where we didn't get tickets right based on the having to space people out, or the other real challenge we had in 2021 was staffing. Labor was, and that's still a problem today. Finding people to work is really, excuse me, our number one challenge today. So, the concession lines were longer. I'm sorry you have to wait.
Yeah.
If if you have a kid at home that's looking for a summer job, maybe they should come out here and work, and your wait will be shorter.
Now,
So,
did you also have to get a whole new roster?
yeah, but we turn over the roster quite a bit in this league.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not really
that
familiar with the Lake Erie Crushers.
most of the players on our team are either college guys who didn't get drafted by a major league organization, or guys who have been drafted and been in a major league farm system, like with the Lake County Captains or the Akron Rubber Ducks, and they get released and they still want to play. They think, I'll go to an MLB partner league, what used to be known as indie ball, and I'll put up big numbers and I'll get re-signed. And some of them do. We average 3 to 5 guys every season who get signed into a minor league or into a major league farm system. So, there's plenty of guys who are still chasing the dream of being a big league ball player. So that was not as big a problem.
Now, does that ever get tough for you at all? Because you start seeing players grooming and becoming really good, and you're seeing them develop. And then when you have to, like, they get to that point where they're ready to move on, does that ever, like, tug at you a little bit? You're like, no!
Well, I mean, you have to know, our space in the baseball ecosystem, for lack of a better term. I mean, nobody grows up thinking, I want to win a Frontier League championship.
True.
Okay. Everybody is here to get to the major leagues. That's why they're here. That's why we exist, to give these guys an opportunity to get to the next level. people have often asked me, what's the best part of owning a minor league baseball team? It's that moment when you can tell that kid, call him into your office and say, pack your bags. He thinks he's getting released, and you say, your contract just got bought by the Cleveland Guardians or the Cincinnati Reds or the Chicago Cubs. I mean, that's a lifelong dream fulfilled for that guy.
Heck yeah.
And he floats out of your office. And I mean, that is just one of the coolest moments ever until you realize there goes my best player out the door. Damn it. And you look at your manager and say, okay, go find another one like him, only better.
Now, do you
But
ever?
that's why they're here. That's why they're here.
Do you ever scout anybody like in the local area? How does that work out?
You know, when I bought the team, I'm running a business. I am really not involved with the baseball. The way it works in the Frontier League is your on-field manager is sort of your player personnel director, or your traditional GM that you think of. So I don't really get involved in the baseball too much. There better be people who know more about baseball than me running the baseball, or we're in trouble.
All right.
You got to know what you're good at and what you're not good at.
So, for the people that are listening right now, watching, give us kind of a taste what it's like running the minor league baseball team.
I mean, there are parts of it that are great. You know, when you're out here on a game day and the stands are full and they're watching a ball game, and they're having fun, it's awesome. It's the greatest job in the world. There are days that it's a grind, you know, that things aren't going right, or you're losing a sponsor, or you're losing baseball games. You know, you're in the middle of a 6-game losing streak. It's not very fun. It's very frustrating. And there are things we control and things we don't. You try and fix the things you can, but there are things out of your control. So from a business aspect, one of the very first things I learned was, and this is going to sound weird, we're not in the baseball business. We're in the affordable family entertainment business. That's what we sell, and that's what we market. 90% of the people who walk in this ballpark can't name a player on our roster, don't know if we're in first place or last place. And they're going to go home in the 7th inning, and because their kids are tired and the game may be tied and they don't know if we won or lost. And quite honestly, they don't care about any of that. Why they're here is to have a fun night outside in Northern Ohio in the summertime that doesn't cost them what it costs them to go downtown. I mean, I'm as big an MLB fan as anyone, but to take a family of 4 down to a Guardians game, you're going to drop $200 or $300 easy. And you can get that same experience out here, not the same level of play, for less than $100. And Major League Baseball, God love them, has priced themselves out of reach for a lot of people.
I'm also thinking at the same time too, you get the chance that you could actually see one of these up and coming stars end up playing for like the Guardians or the Cincinnati Reds. And how awesome would it be just to say, yeah, I went to one of the Lake Erie Crushers games when he was playing there, when he was playing for them guys, before he got drafted or signed to the Guardians.
So we had last year, for the first time since I bought the team in 2016, we had one of our former players make the major leagues. Kid named Jared Koenig, who pitched for us in 19, and then got signed by the Oakland A's. Last year pitched for the A's. And when they were in town playing against the Guardians, he came back out to the ballpark and visited the team, and we interviewed him on top of the dugout between innings. And I mean, it was really cool. It was a great moment to show that, hey, 3 years ago, this guy was pitching on this field, and now he's pitching in the big leagues.
I just think of that too. Like, how many guys have come back to you after they made it to the big leagues and just gave you a simple thank you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you get a lot of guys that come back in town and just say thank you, man?
Well, I mean, he's the first one that's made the majors. But yeah, most of the players that come through here are very appreciative. We don't, at this level, you don't deal with the egos that they deal with in Major League Baseball. because if you're playing on this field for the Crushers, someone has told you you're not good enough. You either didn't get drafted or you were in a major league organization and got released. So they've all been humbled, so to speak.
Okay.
So quite honestly, when they come to us, they're just grateful for the opportunity. They want to play.
All right. If it signs off, as we're still talking, just click start. We'll just keep going.
Okay.
But the next question is, I know somebody in the audience is probably wondering, how much do you guys, what is the average pay for a player?
Our salary cap for 24 guys for 4 months over the summer is $120,000. So our players average between $1,000 and $3,000 a month for the summer, which is not enough to live on, and we know that. So we provide them housing. They have host families that feed them. We feed them like crazy here at the ballpark. We feed them both pregame and postgame. We give them meal money when they go on the road. They're not here for the money. They're here for the opportunity. Then again, if I was a 24-year-old kid living for free and someone was paying me $1,000 a month to play baseball, I'd have jumped at that in a heartbeat.
Heck yeah. Especially during the 60s, how much that money was then?
Yeah. So, that's the reality of our business model. That's how we can afford to remain affordable for these families who are our customers who come out and support these guys, because we're not paying them what Major League Baseball players get paid.
No. So what is the average length of how long does a player usually stay with you guys?
A year or two. If you're in the Frontier League more than 3 or 4 years, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. And I tell kids that all the time. If you've played in this league 3 or 4 years and you haven't been signed, chances are they're not going to call you. So,
So what do a lot of guys end up doing? Did they end up moving on, or did I go to like a different league, or?
Some will go to a different league. Some will go to another independent league like the Atlantic League or the American Association. But some of them, it's funny. Some of them will have that moment of realization in the middle of our season that reality will set in. I'm not going to get signed by a major league club. And while this is fun and I'm having a ball and I'm getting paid a couple $1,000s, it's time for me to move on to the next phase of my life.
And how many times have you had to tell a guy that, maybe it's time?
Well, I don't, because again, I stay out of the baseball part of the equation. So it's really up to the manager. He's the one that's got to have the conversation with him when he releases a guy of, hey, we're going to release you. And if you get released in the Frontier League, I mean, yeah, you may catch on in another league, but chances are you're not going to get signed.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to tell you how to run your life, but you can't do this forever.
Yeah. And I was just thinking how heartbreaking that could be, man. But at the same time, like you said, you realize like, okay, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe it's time for me while I'm still young.
Right.
To do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 25. I'm 27. I'm 28 years old. It's not too late to start a career.
And what better way to do it, too?
Professional world, yeah.
What better way to do it is when you're getting paid, a good amount of money. So you can transfer that and start, studying whatever else you want to go after.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect timing.
So
do a lot of those guys end up trying to get more into the business field and try to talk to you, or how does that work?
No, they really don't. Although every once in a while they will. Some of them want to get into the business side of baseball. I had a player come to me last August, and he was debating hanging it up, retiring as a player. And we sat and talked for a couple hours about the business side of this. If you want to stay around the game, but get a job, a career, What is that like? And what are the career opportunities available, whether it's in ticket sales or marketing or promotion or operations or finance or stuff like that. So yeah, every once in a while, someone will come to me and say, okay, my playing days, I may not be there yet, but I'm getting close. What's next?
What about the coaches also?
The coaches are really interesting. A lot of them sort of live this gypsy baseball life where, they'll spend 4 or 5 months here in the summer. They'll go work some of these winter camps or events in warm weather climates. Our manager is in Palm Springs right now working the California Winter League. He's gone to Florida and worked events down there. A lot of them will give private lessons, in the winter in their hometowns, like at a facility like T3, which is right next to us, where they give private lessons to high school or college kids. But it's really interesting. They sort of live best way I can put it is a baseball gypsy lifestyle.
And what is like the average, how long do you guys keep coaches?
Pardon me?
How long do you guys usually keep like coaches, like head coaches, all of them?
Well, I've been at this 7 years, 8 years. Cam Roth, our former coach, was with us 16, 17, 18, 19. He was with us 4 or 5 years. Okay. But we parted ways with him at the end of last season. So I've got a new manager this year. We'll see what happens.
So how often does the coaches get the call from the next level? Is it very rare or does it happen a lot?
It does happen. Cam was with us from 16 until 19. He got hired by the Detroit Tigers in January of 2020. Now, it didn't work out very well because the pandemic hit in March of 2020. And
terrible timing.
Yeah, he really sort of got the short end of the stick on that one. So, but yeah, guys do jump. One of our former players/coaches, Derek Showman, is going to be coaching with the Minnesota Twins this summer.
Wow. Now, is he the main coach or?
He's an assistant hitting coach, I believe, is his title.
Okay. Well, at least he's making that step up, So my hats off to him.
Right. He's in the big leagues.
Now, what is the average salary for a coach?
We don't share that information with the other teams.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you what some of the other coaches are making.
Hopefully more than the players.
Oh yeah. They're making more than the players.
So, okay, let's go to the business side. Just tell me more about, running a business, what it's like. I know you've told me a little bit already, but.
Well, that's really more where my focus is. This organization.
All right, we're back from the commercial break, everybody. As we
We're back.
before we left for the commercial break, we were talking about Tom was beginning to tell us about what it's like running a business.
Well, the business side of minor league baseball is really based around three areas: ticket sales, corporate partners or sponsorship advertising sales, and food and beverage. I mean, there are other sources of revenue in our business, but those are the big three. And it really all starts with ticket sales. If you don't have ticket sales, you're not going to have concession sales. And if you don't have enough ticket sales, your sponsors aren't going to stay with you very long because they're paying for exposure to as many people as possible. So those are the things you really focus on. Marketing, corporate sponsorship, advertising sales, whether it's signs on the outfield wall, signs on the concourse wall, promotions, marketing on our website, all those different areas is a big focus for us. And then ticket sales. And the key to ticket sales is really selling group outings. That's a huge part of what we do because it's much easier to find one decision maker for a group who can bring 100 or 200 or 50 people out, as opposed to calling up Joe and Mary Smith and saying, hey, you want to buy 2 tickets to a game tonight?
Yeah.
And then it's offering good food and beverage on your concessions menu, quality stuff that's affordable. You know, you go downtown for a beer at a professional sporting event, you're going to pay $12. You know, it's $6.50 here. So the affordable part of it is a big factor in all this.
So playing that out though is like, are you in charge of all the pricing and how everything comes down to it at the end of the day, or who does that?
I have a full-time staff of about 12 people, and I listen to them intently as far as because they have the expertise in their particular area. Our director of sales used to work for the Cavs. He used to work for the Miami Heat. He knows more about ticket sales than I'll ever know. So I listen to him. Our director of food and beverage came from the restaurant industry. He knows more about food and beverage and pricing and margins and labor and those types of things than I'll ever know. So you gotta surround yourself with good people and you gotta listen to them.
So just having the people in the right place. That sounds about
right. Right. You gotta have the right people on the right seats on the bus. And that is a huge, huge challenge because the labor market is very tight. And particularly with a lot of the salespeople here, we hire a lot of younger people and they're just like the players. They want to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
I want to work for the Browns. I want to work for the Guardians. I want to work for the Cavs. Excuse me. So just about the time they get really good at their job, someone comes along and steals them.
Yeah.
Which I get. I understand that. That's who we are. But you're starting over a lot.
Yeah. Like, well, the more I'm learning about it, it makes more sense. This is the stepping ground for everything.
Right. Exactly.
As a baseball player, even if you're working for the company, you're like, this is my chance to get myself in the door and possibly with the Browns, the Guardians, the Cavaliers, or the Reds.
So in August of 2021, in 1 month, I lost one of my ticket reps to the Browns, one of them to the Indiana Pacers, one of them to my marketing guy to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and my box office manager to the MLS Chicago Fire, all in a month.
Wow.
Like, okay, start over, start looking again.
So does that work out just the same way, like the players? Do they all call you up, contact you? And
yeah, well, I mean, they reach out to those individuals, or those individuals get recommended to those big league organizations, and people are always looking to climb the ladder.
Yeah, without doubt.
So the job's open, somebody's going to find you. And in this market where there are far more jobs than workers right now, it's a challenge. And I'm working in a market that has 4 minor league teams. You know, the Crushers, the Captains, the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, the Lake County Captains, or the Akron Rubber Ducks. You've got a minor league hockey team, and you've got 3 major league teams. So the competition for sports workers is very tough.
So would you say since 2020 you have had a big turnover rate, or
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
is it like just hard keeping people, or
It's very challenging keeping people.
now for this upcoming year, what are your projects that you're working on, goals that you're going after?
The big change this year is we're getting a new video scoreboard, which is really exciting because we've never had a video board in the ballpark. So that's going to dramatically impact and improve that fan experience that we sell. It's going to be a lot more entertaining. And people have come to expect that when you go to a sporting event, you know, what are you doing? Well, you're looking at the video screen half the game, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the KISS camera and this camera and fan cam and all that stuff. So we're going to be able to offer a lot of that this year, which we haven't been able to in the past. So
How come you guys weren't able to offer it in the past?
we don't own this ballpark.
Oh,
City of Avon does.
yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that earlier.
Right. So
So you have to. Oh, okay. So okay. I got you. I got you. Got you. Other than that, do you guys have any future plans?
continue to improve the product,
Yep.
offer more events. We did a big country concert in 2019. You know, then the pandemic hit. I would like to get back into that business at some point. You know, I thought I bought a baseball team. I rented a stadium is what I did. And so we need to have as many events in here as possible. I'm looking at the field out the window today. There's nothing going on, which means guess what? We're not making any money today. So now it's January. You wouldn't expect to be making money in January, but those are the types of things you always have to be pushing it to the next level and figuring out what can we do to drive revenue.
Especially when it's snowing today. Like you said, it's gray out there today.
Right.
It's that time of the year, man.
Yeah. Right.
What was your guys' record last year in baseball?
I don't even know.
What?
We were a couple of games over 500.
Okay.
We missed the playoffs, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Close. You're close to the
Yeah.
playoffs.
We missed it on the last weekend of the series. So last year was really a weird year. We started out the year, we went 17-27. We were 10 games under. We were in last place. We were a mess. And then we ripped off like 30-15. And we were within a game and a half of the playoffs. And then we dropped 5 of our last 6 games of the year and we missed it.
Oh, so go back to 2020.
Yep.
During that whole year, how many games did you guys have to cancel because of COVID?
We canceled 48 home games. That's what we generally play in each season.
Okay. So how many did you win?
We lost everything.
Everything, man. Come on.
Nobody won.
Dang.
We joked, oh yeah, we went 98-0. Yeah.
We're undefeated, man. Nobody showed up.
Yeah, we were undefeated. Yeah.
As we begin to wrap this thing up, do you have any advice for up and coming baseball players that would like to possibly join your league, be a part of your team? What do you got for them?
Keep working on your game. Network. Our guys, our manager and coaches, they don't go out and scout players. Their scouting is word of mouth. A guy gets released from a major league team, they're not going to see him. They're picking up the phone and calling his old manager or his old farm director to find out, why did you release him? You know, can the kid play at this level? Is there something he needs to work on in his game? You know, he may be a pitcher who can throw 96, but can't throw a curveball. Come here to the partner league. We'll teach you how to throw a curveball, and then you can get back in the back in the big game. So build your network, continue to constantly improve, get seen by as many people as you can, whether that's the California Winter League or going to open tryouts. You got to be your own advocate. Okay? Because we're not going to find you unless you're easily found.
You're making noise.
Yeah, making noise. Right.
Better way to put it. You're making some noise. What about the people that, like we was talking about, that could work for you guys? How does that come into play?
I mean, if I'm talking to like college kids right now, get an internship. Intern as much as you can. Get as much experience on that resume before you graduate as humanly possible. And intern as many different places with as many different teams as you can, because everybody does it different. Okay. I've had people who interned for us and they're like, can I come back next year and intern again? I'm like, no, go somewhere else. Learn something different. You've already seen how we do things. Go learn from somebody who does it differently. Continue to build out that toolbox.
Keep building that resume. All right, Tom, is there anything else you'd like to share that we haven't covered?
Come on out and watch us this summer.
Come watch them play.
It's affordable family fun. It's not going to break your budget, and it's a lot of fun at the ballpark.
And now, if anybody's wondering, what is the average ticket price?
I think we're at like $12.
Just 12?
Yeah.
So if you were to have a family, like you say you got 4.
Yeah,
how much
right.
is that?
Yeah, you're going to spend, $50 on tickets, maybe another $20 at the concession stand, $30 at the concession stand. You can do this whole thing and get a great seat. That's the other thing we offer as opposed to downtown. You're right on top of the game. I tell people you got to pay attention out here. Those foul balls get on you like that. So you can't be looking at your phone when there's a guy in a batter's box, or you're going to take one.
Yeah, you've seen enough videos, man. The bats come flying.
Yeah. So yeah, come on out to a game. It's a lot of fun.
Come watch the game. When's the first game?
We open May 12th, Friday, May 12th.
Oh, what a better time of the year it will be. Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, those April games downtown, sometimes those aren't real fun to sit through.
No, because you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah.
Especially in Ohio, you never know what it's going to be like.
You could get snowed out very easily.
Thinking about Denver stuff, you're probably like, how was the weather out there actually?
It's nice. It's very nice. We got a ton of snow. We're over here on the west side, so we don't get as much snow. Man, Denver got a ton of snow, but you got a lot of sunshine. I miss the sunshine.
Yeah, especially this time of the year. All right, Tom, I just want to say thank you for coming on. It's truly an honor, and I'm just humbled just to have you on, just to hear your advice. And I know without a doubt, whoever's listening and watching right now, that they learned a lot.
I hope so.
And I hope
Chris, I appreciate the opportunity. Good luck to you and your podcast.
I got 3 more questions to wrap us up.
Okay.
We're done. Just random silly questions. The first one, dog or cat?
Pardon me?
Dog or cat?
Dog.
If you could travel anywhere anywhere in the world, where are you going?
Australia. Haven't been there yet.
Any reason why?
The bucket list. Just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Now, if you weren't in the baseball league, where else would you go?
I would probably be in some form of the event business. I like live events, the background in TV, putting on a show, putting on an event.
All right.
Some way, shape, or form.
Well, you heard it here, guys. You heard Tom's story. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is Chris. That's Tom. Or I should say Tim. I'm just kidding. Tom. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.